Today, what year is it? This is CheckPoint.
With someone else, Jesus Christ, Paul.
That
was amazing. Holy crap.
Oh, man.
You recorded that earlier.
I recorded that earlier, and then for some reason it didn't play properly. I am disappointed.
Oh, darn. What is it?
It's just me.
It's a video.
Today, what day is it? Or what year is it? Man. Ah, well. Try to do something cool.
Oh, well. It's made all, or whatever you did there made all of our captions go away.
No, it's just in order to blank it there.
Ah, there we go. Hey, everybody. Out there on the incredible edible internet. Happy Thursday. Happy. Oh, well, we did hear Thursday. It. Oh, they heard it.
Oh, good. Oh. Well, then that's a shame because then now I ruined it.
Oh.
I mean,
one way or another.
Quick, anyway. What did it... Oh, you told us what it said. Okay.
Yeah.
I have... Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint for June 4th. I hope you are having, well, a reasonable Thursday. I hope I hope things are going as good as they can be given the current circumstances.
The current circumstances keep that's the thing about current circumstances is they keep changing.
Yeah. The phrase still works, but it refers to a wide variety of circumstances. Yeah. Hell, there was a friggin' earthquake yesterday during stream.
Crossing the stream.
Yeah. It's just like, that's what we need.
I didn't feel it, so it wasn't.
Well, it was in
our
LA. So.
Yeah.
It was just really funny that Laser and Nika were both like, "Oh, hey, earthquake," and the rest of us are like, "What?
Please don't."
I was slightly disappointed that their cameras didn't go like, "Ooh."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of glad because if their cameras really started going, I'd be like, "Is this really the big one? Are we getting the 9.0 right now?" Like, fuck off.
Like that would indicate a really bad earthquake, but just for the cinematic experience.
Farabender says they looked it up. It was an aftershock from an earthquake that happened last July. Excuse me?
Amazing.
That's
a thing? You can have aftershocks happen that long ago?
I question the definition of an aftershock.
Right. I mean, that's kind of astounding that it's because to me it'd be like that's just a brand new event.
Like, sure, it's an event. It's an event that's related to the previous event.
Yeah,
but not. Yeah, but theoretically, all earthquakes are somehow related to each other because they're all connected through tectonic movement.
Yeah, welcome to the Pacific Ring of Fire.
I don't tie when I graduated from university, it wasn't like I have now continually graduated from high school for the last 7 years, and it culminated again.
Anyway.
The first time I ever went to California, we were on a family trip. We were the idea was that we would fly to San Jose and rent a car and visit San Jose and then drive around, seeing cool stuff in California, do Disneyland, drive back up the Coast Highway 1, which is gorgeous, do San Francisco and then fly home from there. And so we land in San Jose, get the rental car, drive to the Winchester Mystery Mansion. And we're waiting to go on the tour. So we're looking in the gift shop, which is enormous plate glass windows on 3 walls. And we step into the gift shop and all the windows start doing this. It was I don't know, like a 5.4. Like we land and it's just like, welcome to California, earthquake. And
they would just wanted to get you the full California experience.
Yeah, it was because the glass was huge. You know, like sort of pub windows that have the bullseye glass. They're sort of like this big, and it's like a round like looks like a sort of a ripple shape that's like just permanently the shape of the glass, like that, but moving, and this enormous thing. We were like, ah! Getting back out of there. There was clips on the news that night of like grocery stores with stuff toppling off the shelves and everything. And we're like,
Wow.
okay, I guess we're welcome to California, I suppose.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
for
for those of you who haven't seen the show before, this is
right.
ChillPoint, where we talk about video game news and also earthquakes, which are one happened during us playing a video game. That's how it's related to video game news.
This is essentially now what was the post show is now become the pre-show to CheckPoint.
Yes. So if you enjoy our CheckPoint show on YouTube, that will be going up tonight or tomorrow morning. But this is our chance to just kind of chill, talk about the what the stories happened this week are, video game stories anyway, and chat about our opinions about some of the stories that maybe didn't make it into the actual episode. Whenever I do the ChillPoint intro, I keep thinking of I love Colbert's like Meanwhile segment. You know, it's
Right.
like each episode of CheckPoint is very tightly crafted, but sometimes we like to brush up all the extra stories and kind of throw them all together into a big blender, and that's what we call ChillPoint.
Welcome. It's viscous.
Yeah. So the first thing we do is we thought we'd do a bit of a table read or just a preview of the stories that will be in this week's episode of CheckPoint. Possibly not in their final versions, but fairly close to that. And obviously there'll be extra graphics and other things. But just to give you a little sneak peek. Do we want to do these just in order or in order in the document here? Or
I think so, yeah.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, the biggest news of the week is the ongoing protests against police brutality and systematic racism in the United States. And that might seem a little outside the wheelhouse of a YouTube show that takes a satirical approach to covering news in the video game industry. Holy crap, we finally got a succinct description of what the hell this show is. Somebody write that down! But as with many things that are big and important, these protests have had knock-on effects felt everywhere. Sony has pushed back a press conference to promote the PS5, CD Projekt Red has moved back a Cyberpunk 2077 event, and Infinity Ward has delayed the launch of the new Call of Duty seasons because, quote, now is not the time. Black lives matter more than getting to play the hottest new video games, so none of that is a problem, but in the same breath as these companies are proudly showing their commitment to the struggles of Black Americans, they are also showing their whole ass. Because it's one thing for Infinity Ward to say they're speaking up for equality, justice, and change, but when many people pointed out that Call of Duty is rife with racist usernames, it's another thing to actually do something about it. After being thoroughly dragged for this, Infinity Ward has followed up with a renewed commitment to getting racist content out of their game, something they could have done at any time, but better now than never. Activision Blizzard earned themselves no shortage of internet ridicule for their statement that there is no place for racism and inequality, quote, in any society, when they so quickly and clumsily banned pro-Hearthstone player Blitzchung for speaking out against China in the midst of the Hong Kong protests, which are still happening, by the way. Reminder that after considerable backlash, Blitzchung had his winnings reinstated, but his ban, and the ban of the commentators who had the misfortune of being on air at the time, were not eliminated, but merely reduced to 6 months. And Blizzard President J. Allen Brack apologized for not, quote, bringing the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment. Electronic Arts was another gaming brand to dust off the somber white text on Black Square for their supportive tweet delaying some promotional marketing of Madden NFL 21, when they were reminded that just 2 years ago, EA had censored a name drop of Colin Kaepernick from the Big Sean song Big Bank, which appeared on the soundtrack for Madden NFL 19. At the time, EA claimed it was an honest mistake, stemming from confusion surrounding the use of the name of a player who didn't appear in the game. An excuse that might be more convincing had EA not done the same thing a year prior, removing Kaepernick's name from the Mike Will Made It song Bars of Soap. In a more recent statement from Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson, they say the company is now actually doing some things, including donating $1 million to the Equal Justice Initiative and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, further double matching employee contributions, and giving every employee a paid day off per year to volunteer in their community. Companies learned quickly that just saying Black Lives Matter is only lip service if they're not willing to back it up. And while it's very easy to take the cynical approach and say that corporations like Devolver Digital, Riot, the Pokemon Company, Naughty Dog, Square Enix, Supercell, Wizards of the Coast, and Ubisoft, all of whom are donating money, matching employee donations, or both, are just doing it for the PR and the good press, there are companies that aren't even doing that. For an extensive but not exhaustive list of places you can donate, please visit blacklivesmatters.card.co.
I'm glad people are keeping the receipts.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The like, hey, so remember this thing that you said 6 months ago? That I feel like that has been going around a fair amount. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially Blizzard. When
Yeah.
they're like,
A
there's no
tough
place for this
Hearthstone moment.
tough Hearthstone esports moment. Especially Blizzard when they're like, this cannot stand in any society. And people are like,
What are you doing?
what the hell, man?
Ah, dear. And also, like, lifting the ban, but still having, or like, lifting the ban, but then also doing it, but keeping it for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, dropping the lifetime ban, but keeping it for 6 months. So it's like, we don't think what you did was as bad as we thought it might be, but it's still bad, I guess.
Yeah, we still think this is a bad thing that you did. We don't approve of this thing because you got a ban over it. Like,
Yeah. And as Doodles the Great says, like, obviously the NFL was a big one because they also posted, very quickly somebody made like a parody of like white text on black square being like, we this is the message that we say,
Yes.
courtesy of brand.
We insert name here, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the NFL being like, yeah, we totally stand behind this. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
yeah.
But yeah, we didn't include them in this list because this is a video game focused show. So
Yeah.
And it is worthwhile to point out, as you did at the end there, that it's like, yeah, that is kind of there is a crappy aspect to the kind of jumping on the bandwagon, but hey, being on the bandwagon is something anyway. It's better than not being on the bandwagon.
I was on something awful, and somebody dropped what I thought was just a lovely sick burn when Infinity Ward was saying, "Oh shit, yeah, hey, we're just gonna not release Call of Duty Mobile and Modern Warfare, whatever the fuck, that Modern Warfare : whatever the fuck, in the next little bit."
it's Call of Duty.
It's Call of Duty Warzone.
It was Warzone. I thought it was
it's like season 4 of the console game and season 7 of the mobile game. I didn't deep dive on it.
The response that somebody put up, which I thought was so good, was just, man, my military industrial murder simulator is so woke. And I'm like, that's very cynical, but at the same time, sure.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about. I feel like The Division is keeping somewhat conspicuously quiet these days.
I mean, Division is an Ubisoft game, and Ubisoft did actually, make a statement and everything. But yeah,
they haven't. They're. I mean, I don't know whether they're going to be releasing anything, but I feel like that's one that you definitely want to keep on the DL for the little bit.
Yeah, I haven't been able to bring myself to play more Division after I saw a screenshot of or not a screenshot. That was the confusion. After I saw a photo of a like temporary field hospital and morgue in New York dealing with the coronavirus, and it's like, this looks like a screenshot from The Division because it's all about a pandemic and it's like, it's too real. It's too real. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, that was the serious checkpoint story.
But
Beach?
just
Yep.
because all this horrible stuff is happening doesn't mean that there's people being dumb for other reasons that are completely
yeah.
unrelated. So let's talk about that.
Super Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai recently went on record that yes, he plays video games other than the one he spent most of his waking life designing. No, you don't get to know which ones, and for God's sake, would all of you in countries abroad please stop asking? Sakurai said that simply mentioning a video game leads to mass speculation that characters from said game will show up in Smash, which is fine, but doesn't do anything to discount the rumor I heard that he's been playing a lot of Farm Simulator recently. So does this mean we're going to be seeing the Massey Ferguson Activa S Combine Harvester in the next fighter pack? Our deep dive into his Netflix account shows he watched all of Tiger King, so are we going to see Joe Exotic? Or is this just a feint so they can announce the Tiger King from Tekken? Or is this three-dimensional chess? And are we going to see Leopard Band 2 instead?
Absolutely, my favorite part of this whole story, the joke that you wrote into the story, is the Tiger King or the character from Tekken, the Tiger King.
Yes.
I'm assuming
Love it.
the Massey Ferguson Activa S Combine Harvester is a real thing from.
Yes, but I don't know if it's in Farm Simulator or not. I just know that it's a real combine harvester.
Does anybody have Farm Simulator? Can they confirm that?
Isn't Activa a brand of yogurt?
Sure is.
Yes, it is.
The one that makes you
But
poop
Massey-
real good?
Massey Ferguson is the manufacturer.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
They funny thing, as I've learned, is that combine harvesters tend not to have very interesting names. They're usually called like Model F or Model T or
Activia is the yogurt. Okay.
oh yes, Activia, right?
Right.
Yes, as everyone knows, Activa is the combine harvester.
Yes.
I'm amazed that I like on the one hand it's like leave this poor man alone. Just let him talk about things without going off on wild theories. On the other hand, I'm amazed that he wants to have any kind of online presence at all.
Yeah.
Because I would just be like, absolutely F you, right? Like I would go in, work on Smash Brothers, and then go home to like the woods or the top of a mountain. And
Yeah.
just
He
I don't know.
he won't even go on TV shows anymore. Because if it comes up if somebody asks him a question and he has to reference another video game or whatever, at that point people are like, and so it's just like he can't go on a TV show to talk about things. He can't really do interviews like in the same way. He can only ever talk about Smash, and now he can only ever talk about why he can't talk about anything other than Smash. So, and the countries abroad thing gets me too, because that was in the article where it's like people generally in countries abroad keep making speculation. I'm like, of course they
because not Japanese people.
No,
Because
they would never do such a thing.
That would be so rude.
Mm-hmm.
Darren Zero says the Massey Ferguson MF8700 is in Farm Simulator. So at least some Massey Ferguson combines are indeed in the game.
That's good.
Yeah. I always think about like way back during the Cold War, there were people called there's a thing people called Kremlinologists. And basically the idea, these were American researchers, and their job was to figure out what was going on in the USSR, but with so little information, right? Just being like, this guy, it's like, we think this guy may have changed his lunch order. What does that mean? Does that, and trying to infer all sorts of details from all sorts of little random bits of information, because they didn't have, because the intel was so important at the time, and they didn't have the the real information. And I always think about that when I think about stuff like this. It's like, what is Sakurai doing? Is he, does
By not saying anything, is he referencing that the Void is going to be showing up? And
the also when I was thinking about this story, and the farm simulator was a suggestion I put in for this, because I actually was thinking about this for a long time, trying to think of a game that wouldn't be plausible to be in Smash. I was like, oh, it'd be super funny if I don't know, somebody from Animal Crossing showed up in Smash, which of course actually she's in Smash, or
Yeah.
and you can't do like a first person shooter because there's people with guns and Smash. Like I was trying to think, it's like, oh, how about somebody from like a sports game? But it's like that wouldn't be that weird. Like I could totally see somebody from a sports game showing up in Smash. It's just like trying to find something that would not plausibly be in Smash is actually surprisingly difficult.
Is Master Chief in Smash?
No.
No.
Okay.
I think they put him in a different type of Smash-alike.
Oh, right. The like
PlayStation All Stars or something, or not that one,
PlayStation, but yeah. You're right.
Brawlhalla.
But as soon as once they
Smash,
put like Snake in, who just has a gun, it was like, okay,
a building from SimCity.
We could just have guns now.
Yeah, Dante from Devil May Cry should definitely be. I did see the Smash Brothers subreddit a while ago was like everyone says they want Dante in Smash Brothers, but then you realize it'll just be another sword guy.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like, yeah, Dante wouldn't actually play any differently than everybody else. There's already a ton of guys like that.
Guy with sword and guns. There was a Spartan, not necessarily the Master Chief in Dead or Alive 4. Huh. And as we know,
more guns.
As we know, RoboCop, Freddy Krueger, Predator, and
it's Jason, not Freddy.
Jason? Oh, Jason.
Or is it both?
Mortal Kombat. Maybe it's both of them. Spawn. Is Spawn in Mortal Kombat? Or I know Spawn was in Soul Calibur that one time. That was weird. When Soul Calibur did that thing where it's like, we're releasing a Soul Calibur game on 3 different consoles, and the secondary characters will be Link, Heihachi, and Spawn.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have some interesting notions about the player bases of these consoles.
All right, next story.
Oh, yeah. If you were a handheld gamer back in the 90s, you had 3 choices that were really only 2 choices because nobody actually bought the Atari Lynx. So either you had a Nintendo Game Boy, like most people, or you had a well-rehearsed defense about how your Sega Game Gear had a full-color screen. Brief aside, Paul had a Game Gear and probably still does somewhere. Yeah. Well, if you fondly remember the Game Gear and have $200 well, if you fondly remember the Game Gear and have $200 of disposable income and want to play 15 classic Game Gear games and columns in the most cumbersome way possible, and you have excellent near vision or a magnifying glass, then wow, has Sega made a very specific product just for you. The Game Gear Micro is not like other miniaturized home consoles like the NES Mini. It's real small. It's 3.14 inches across, a nearly 92% reduction in volume, but it's also 4 of them? Sorry, let me start again. Sega is releasing a product called the Game Gear Micro. It comes in 4 colors. Each color has 4 different games. The screen is 1.1 inches diagonally, which is more than half as small as the original, but the resolution is 240 by 180, which is higher than the original's 160 by 144. So I get that the original Game Gear felt like it was the size of a family sedan, but this seems like a massive overcorrection. And if you think that might be absolutely miserable to play, you can order all 4 at once and then get a scale remake of the Sega Big Window Magnifier, in case you didn't already look stupid enough. Oh, also, if you order all 4 Game Gear Micros in red, yellow, blue, and black, you also get one in a translucent smoke colorway, which doesn't work, but does make a nice set of 5 suitable for framing, as they've illustrated here on their website. Who is this for? Why is this real? I'm already dealing with a lot right now. I don't need this.
Funny.
Is it 200 for one of them or for all 4?
No, they're $50 each.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And to get the smoke, the non-functional smoke one, you have to, because it's like, yeah. So to get the non-functional smoke one, you have to order through the Japanese Sega store only. It's exclusive to there.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, cool. Here's a thing I could hang on my keychain, I guess. Except you paid $200 to have the benefit of having it. But what I loved about this, I went and looked into I looked into an update because apparently people were saying, oh, Sega's going to announce a really big thing because of the 60th anniversary. And then this story came out. And then it was like, is this the big story? Is this the thing on the level of PS5? And it's like, no. This is a separate thing. But this wasn't even originally supposed to have 3 games. But Beach, it has 4 games.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it wasn't originally supposed to even have 3 games. It was going to have less than that. And they added a color. So we were probably maybe only going to get maybe 2, maybe 3 of these, and then they would maybe only have 2 games on each. And then at some point, somebody said, "What if we could do more at all?" And they did. And yet, at no point were they like, "Boy, this is a really why?" Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't like the Game Gear, but I still actually don't understand why these exist in the way that they do, other than they're just curios.
I think that's the idea. They have a USB micro charge port, or they can take 2 AAA batteries. They have a headphone jack, and that's it.
Like, so if people crack these things open in terms of like software wise, so you could like load whatever you want onto whatever Game Gear ROMs you want onto it, because presumably it's just an emulator thing. Then, like, to be honest, I think it would be kind of fun to have one. Having only like the 4 games is lame, but if you if they crack it so you could just put whatever you want onto it, it seems like a fun little thing, kind of like the Game Boy Micro. In that
I would argue that it's the size of a postage stamp. Like, the screen is incredibly small.
Yeah, that's true. It is pretty darn small.
Yeah, if you're interested in the games, so the black one comes with Sonic the Hedgehog, Puyo Puyotsu, Outrun, and Royal Stone. The blue one comes with Sonic and Tails, Gunstar Heroes, Sylvan Tales, and Baku Baku Animal. Gunstar Heroes is a heck of a thing. Yellow, if you're a fan of Shining Force, the yellow one comes with Shining Force Gaiden Expedition to the Kingdom of Evil God, Shining Force Gaiden 2 Awakening of the Evil God, Shining Force Gaiden Final Conflict, and Nazo Puyo Aruru's Ru, which is just another Puyo Puyo game.
Aruru's Ru?
Aruru's Ru.
Aruru.
Yeah, and then the red one comes with Megami Tensei Gaiden Last Bible, Megami Tensei Gaiden Last Bible Special, the GG Shinobi, a Game Gear version of Shinobi, and Columns.
So yeah, I as Greg said, I had a Game Gear when I was a kid, and yeah, it is a real substantial thing that really eats those batteries.
Yeah.
But I mean, like again, if I could load the game, like I fondly remember like Sonic, and I think it was Sonic and Tails. Yeah, Sonic and Tails is one I had. You know, that was a good, like, it was basically like as good as the Game Gear or the Genesis Sonic game. Like, it was a full Sonic game. It was really good. I had a game called Rystar that was actually pretty fun.
Rystar, that's the one I was trying to remember.
It's like you're like a star and run around and stuff. I had Kawasaki Motorcycle Racing, which was terrible. It was like a Mode 7 racing kind of thing, or sort of not even Mode 7, but it was like you're always going over a hill, kind of. You're sort of going
I was testing the horizon.
Yeah. But it had it thing. You know what is not very fun in a racing game?
What?
All the other vehicles being faster than you. Like that thing where you're just on a straightaway, going with the accelerator down. Yeah. You are at your maximum acceleration, and just another motorcycle goes like past you. You're just like, why am I here? Why can't I have what he has?
I think it's cheating.
I was given the wrong vehicle.
I'm so sorry I hit the microphone. Here's a ruler. It's a Roman ruler, you see. It's a pun. I got it in England. I've had it for ages. Anyway, so here's 8 centimeters.
That's how big the whole thing is?
This
It's
is why.
8 centimeters by 4 centimeters. So it's big.
So is it actually smaller than a Game Boy Micro?
Yes.
Yes.
Like a
Which
Game Boy
they're-
Micro is close to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
which-
but also the Game Boy Micro screen was a lot bigger. I mean, the whole
Mhm.
point of the Game Boy Micro wasn't a scale down of a pre-existing product. It was literally, this is something we can. It has to be big enough so we can shove a Game Boy Advance cartridge inside of it.
Right, right.
And so this is a thing where it's like we wanted it to look exactly like the Game Gear, so we had to scale everything down appropriately, which is why the screen is so tiny. And it's weird when you go to Wolfram Alpha and you say, "Hey, what's 1.15 inches square?" And it's like, "Oh, that sounds like the size of an average postage stamp."
This is a credit card. I'm of course obscuring the relevant information, but this is a credit card. It is the same width and slightly shorter than a credit card.
But it is 2 centimeters thick, so you cannot keep it in your wallet.
And the screen is this big.
About the size of the
Maybe I just have I kind of have a fondness for little teeny weeny gaming devices.
No, I get it.
So I get
understand.
it. I mean, if you could
Can
load
you
your own
throw
ROMs
up
onto
the-
it.
Can you? Is there any way for you to throw up the picture of the?
Yeah.
Let me. I want
Oh, of the
I'll link it in the chat. The big window magnifier here. I'll put it in the.
Which I remember was an accessory for both the Game Gear and Game Boys also had them, like officially made. That was something that both sides were like, this is something that is needed.
Just the big the scale model recreation of the Sega big window. I've linked it in the Google call chat. If you're able to put it up on screen, it's
Oh, whoops. I opened the link and it did a thing. I apologize.
no worries.
I was only a
I wonder if I'd even be able to play look at it. It's so great. I wonder if it's actually playable. Like if it's I wonder how big it actually looks at that size.
Ooh. Oh man, I wonder if the Sonic and Tails cheat code still works.
I mean, they're all the original game. It
should, yeah. What is it? In Sonic and Tails, on the intro screen, if you hit the 1, 2, and start button simultaneously when Tails' eyes are closed from his third blink, you get to a level select screen.
That's pretty good, actually.
That was like this is like pre-internet times too. When I forget, that was like one of those things that like went around on the schoolyard and actually was true.
Amazing. So we got one more story.
We got distracted
to read, and then a bunch of other things to talk about. But we're also a minute out of. There's an observance of. I mean, a minute of silence is not actually accurate. There's an observance of silence in respect of George Floyd, and it is 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Is that correct? I need to double check the exact number of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure someone in chat will
46.
be able to tell us. Yes. Okay. And that is at 12:45 today, which is now. So we're going to keep streaming. The stream is going to go black for the next 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and then we will come back and continue Checkpoint.
Hey
Welcome
everybody,
back.
we are back.
Thank you, chat, for being so great during that. I hadn't seen the black and white variant of the loading ready run heart. That was what a great. That looks good, actually.
Yeah.
what a great thing.
Good use, yeah, good use of the channel points.
Which eventually we may. I was going to say which eventually we will, but let's not promise. We may figure out some use for. Understand that Twitch was just like, you have channel points now. They're on. Deal with it. And we were like, do we not look busy?
The problem with the channel points now, though, is that by the time we actually figure out something to do, everyone has so many channel points for like, you can give us 100,000 channel points and we'll sing a song. It'd be like, I want 20 songs.
Oh no!
Crap.
Oh no! I gotta cut an album today. Jesus.
Okay, creepy doll with rainbow teeth is pretty funny, actually.
Dread Pirate Wesley says they have 470,000.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We have one additional written story of hilarity. Gosh.
This is such a goofy ass thing.
Yeah. And then we'll talk about some other stories as well. So, Beach.
All right. Riot's new shooter Valorant has shaken off its closed beta chrysalis and stepped confidently into the light of full release. And while it has left behind all of its old beta accounts, it did keep its receipts. If you got banned for cheating during Valorant's beta, Riot remembers you, and they're upholding that ban. This has made cheaters a little salty, especially since Riot's anti-cheat developer Matt Pauletti said on Twitter that they would be lenient with most people who got banned during the beta. But when a cheater slid into the DMs of Riot CEO Nicola Laurent asking for, quote, a second chance to learn our lesson, Laurent replied with an incredibly satisfying, sorry, no second chance for cheaters. Apparently, Riot had only ever intended to forgive bans for players who were testing the cheat tools. So if you were using a free cheat, you're shit out of luck. And if you were using a paid cheat, oh my god, that's hilarious.
The old, I feel like testing the cheat tools. That's something I haven't actually heard as an excuse up until recently.
Right?
It's like, so you were testing them to make sure they worked because you wanted to cheat. Like, you were testing them just to make sure. I just want to make sure that they don't work, so that you know, so that I can see what it's like when other people cheat and make sure that that's not happening.
And it's definitely one of those. It's one of those things that when you read it, you're like, that sounds like. But I was only testing the tools, and it's like, no. People who were assigned by Riot to be doing that in the first place are the people who are, of course, getting their bans forgiven. It's important to make the distinction. It's hard to make that distinction.
It's like, and yes, I'm sure there are people who who test the cheat tools in order to build better anti-cheat stuff, but they probably tell Riot that they're going to do that, and that's a known thing.
That is literally the plot. It's not literally the plot, but it's literally the plot of my favorite movie, Sneakers.
Yeah.
You hire people to break into your shit so people don't break into your shit.
Yeah. Now, I have a question, because this is something that I don't fully understand the technical ramifications of. So these are not IP bans, because those are, you can sort of get around to those. They're
hardware ID bans.
They're a hardware ban.
Yes.
So if you cheat at Valorant and get hardware banned, and then you sell your graphics card to someone else, can they not play Valorant?
It is probably more like a combination of several parts of your computer.
What is
the
way
Windows,
so if you just upgrade your graphics card, can you then play Valorant again?
Possibly.
Windows
generates this thing called your hardware ID that is kind of mysterious, in the sense that Nope. In the sense that they play it pretty close to the chest as to what actually all goes into it, and because if your computer changes too much, then like for instance your Windows activation drops off.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. Is my understanding when you were doing like a Windows upgrade, it's like if you upgrade your computer, you should upgrade like one piece at a time and let Windows like be like, oh, I see you upgrade your graphics card. That's fine. Here's your new hardware ID. Okay, great. Now upgrade my motherboard. Oh, I see you upgrade your motherboard, but everything else is the same. Okay, that's fine. And I'm like, is that really how that's supposed to work? Because that seems very cumbersome.
That seems like a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know if that's really how it works.
Well,
but that's how everyone works.
You can theoretically, I think you can like phone Windows and get it reinstalled. I don't know. There's a whole thing. But and also like some people are in the chat are saying like theoretically if you got a new graphics card or a new motherboard or whatever, you could circumvent this for however many $100 you're willing to spend on it. But there's also other ways that like if they like despite the ban or despite if you mess up your hardware enough that you get over the hardware ban, if they can tie your account to the previous account through any methods, there's lots of methods to tie them together, many of which were in use long before hardware bans. Then they just ban your new hardware.
And as you can probably tell, at least from because I'm the one who wrote the story, I have very little sympathy for anyone who is using a cheat, free or otherwise. I can't believe you can pay for cheats. I never occurred to me, but of course you can.
Yeah,
it's quite a big market, yeah.
And part of it, what's funny to me is like people complain, like, and we have complained about Valorant having Vanguard, Riot's own homegrown anti-cheat software, having to be bundled in and talking about what a dangerous thing this is. And I'm like, right. But if you can establish right away that it's like we have zero tolerance for anyone who loads a cheat, regardless of whether or not they, even if they did it on purpose, right? I'm sure that they're like, my friend came over and put a cheat on my computer and now I'm hardware banned. It's like, cool, neat story. Sorry, you don't get to play Valorant. And I'm like, that might suck. And maybe you have to go over some things with Riot to get your account unlocked. I have no idea how you negotiate that shit, but I'm all for companies saying that we see you using a cheat, so therefore you can't play you can't play our online game anymore because our online game relies upon people all having an equal playing field and competing on how well they can play the game as opposed to how well a cheat can help them play that game.
Mm-hmm.
So and that would then eventually hopefully lead to not having to have anti-cheat software in the first place. Do we ever get there? Who knows? Doesn't sound like it, but maybe.
I'm always.
We have to be positive, right? We have to be optimistic.
Yes. Someday there will not be cheats.
All right. Other stories that we didn't talk about.
People have recently discovered, like very recently discovered, that older Pokemon games have specific, like, differing spawn rates on some days.
So this is to do with. There was this is part of this. I think this is people going back through this dump of, or the leak of a bunch of source code that came out for Pokemon stuff a while ago. But this is people doing a deep dive into it.
Yeah, and this is like old games. So, like for example,
this is Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah, Twitter user Shiny Hunter Map, a Pokemon speedrunner and Shiny Hunter, discovered that in Diamond and Pearl, there's different behavior on certain in-game days. For example, January 12th, which is developer Junichi Masuda's birthday, eggs will hatch 10% more quickly. Which is like, wait, what?
That's a hell of a jump, yeah. Just because it's his birthday.
Yeah, but this is Diamond and Pearl, and people are just finding out about this now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, wait a minute, what else is in there?
I mean, it's one of those things like eggs hatch faster if you tap the button really quickly. It's like, that's not a thing.
And on, there's certain holidays, like world holidays, that the encounter rate increases by 5%, such as Lincoln's birthday, St. Patrick's Day, the first day of school in Japan, But Festa della Repubblica,
Is the
American Independence Day, France's Fête Nationale, like
is the first day of school in Japan really April 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cold.
Yeah.
April Fools, go to school. But this is actually serious.
Yeah.
But Pokemon encounter rates also decrease by 10% on tragic anniversaries, such as August 6th and 9th for Hiroshima and Nagasaki, respectively, September 11th, and the equinoxes.
It's
The equinoxes I find a very weird thing to lump in with that, but
what's so bizarre about this is it's like, what is this attempting to achieve, right? Like an increase or a decrease by 5 or 10% in the encounter rate is like barely enough to get noticed.
Yeah.
Like it's, and so if the idea is that like on September 11th, you don't want as many people playing the game because you want them to be whatever, be respectful, changing it by 10% is not enough.
I don't think
It's just like a weird. It's just like a weird thing.
I have to assume that it was more like we don't want it to be exactly the same all the time. We want to have a little dusting of variety in there. Not enough that it's really a big deal, but just so it's a little different. What do we tie this to? National Independence holidays. Throw all those in there.
and anniversaries of tragic events.
That's my assumption.
The funny thing is that Masuda in 2008 had said, "Hey, turn on your play Diamond and Pearl on this day." Didn't say it was his birthday. I think just like when you play this Saturday, it's like you'll find something different. Quote, something different in the game. Didn't say anything about, hey, it's my birthday. Go play the game I directed. You might find something interesting about it, which of course you wouldn't, because you'd be like this invisible number that is only changing the egg thing, right? Unless people were actually deep diving at that point. But yeah, wild.
Yeah.
And also just, I love the idea that if for speedrunning purposes, decreasing the encounter rate was actually beneficial, that like setting the time on your Game Boy to September 11th is like a super speedrun strat.
Ooh, yeah, weird.
Kind of weird, yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, loud vehicle there.
Oh yeah, so Path of Exile. There's a new expansion for Path of Exile coming out called Path of Exile Harvest. Now, I've only played Path of Exile a very small amount. James and I played it one time on 18 games and counting.
Oh, right.
But for those of you who don't know, it's Path of Exile is kind of a hardcore Diablo-ish action game. It's basically when Diablo 3 came out and people were like, this is just for casual people. Diablo 3 is way too mainstream. A bunch of people were like, let's take Diablo 2 kind of like hardcore stuff and make it even more hardcore and get the people who are really into like the minute details of customizing your character and personalization and stuff. And so the name of the company that makes it is called Grinding Gear Games, which might give you an idea of the kind of target market they're at. Anyway, their summer expansion is called Harvest, and Harvest allows you to make gardens.
Okay.
Which doesn't seem initially like part of a super hardcore action RPG setup.
Yeah.
Apparently, certain situations you can find seed caches, and then they drop different seeds, and then you can go to a special realm where you can grow a garden. But you have to, you actually have to fight the plants.
There's wolf seeds and ape seeds and scorpion seeds.
Like the plants grow and then into like a monster, and then you fight the monster.
Oh my god.
It's like how could we do farming but make it fighting?
Wow.
That's amazing.
And you build like collectors so you can harvest the seed's life force. Like, this is really interesting how they kind of grafted this onto the game.
Farming, but make it fight.
I love this. I love this sentence. So there's 3 tiers of seeds, depending on how difficult and how difficult they are to fight and how good stuff you get. And they say after tier 3 seeds, players can occasionally fight one of 3 boss seeds. The studio is also teasing that there's a mysterious, hyper difficult tier 4 seed, which players will discover on their own once harvest launches.
Oh my god!
I feel like it was one of these things where, like, let's do a farming, like, let's do an ability to grow a garden. Animal Crossing is very popular. It's like, yeah, we could do that, and we could grow all sorts of different kinds of seeds. Maybe we could have some seeds that are better than others. Oh, that's great. And we could have you fight the seeds, and then we could have certain, and then they drop. It's like they got. They're so into the like action RPG mindset that they take any given input and then just change it into, it's like, okay, so how can this be a system where we have to fight tiers of enemies and then there's a boss at the end of it?
I initially thought when you started the story, I was like, they're trying to, they're making this. Not that they'd be able to do it that quickly, but it's like they're trying to capitalize on like the Animal Crossing thing.
Right.
They're trying to add sort of like a Stardew Valley expansion where it's like you could play Path of Exile, but you could also just do this sort of chill thing. And then it's like, oh no, you misunderstand. You fight the plants. That's so great.
Yeah, it's like no, this is the chill thing.
Yeah. Wow.
It's just like a relaxing fight between your more hardcore fights. It's just sometimes, you just want to kick back and relax in your beautiful garden and fight flowers rather than fighting giant monsters.
Given what Cameron's gone through to try to grow blue roses in Animal Crossing, that's been its own fight. So
yeah.
You can cross pollinate, and then you can make you have chances of generating different colors. I don't know if you know about this, Paul, or not, but it's yeah. It's been the fact that there's flower genetics in that game. I'm just like, oh Jesus. But yeah, this seems like this is a kind of a goofy thing. It seems super fun.
The next Total War game is or possibly a spin-off, but the next one in the series, Total War Saga Troy, is going to be a 12-month Epic Game exclusive. I know. But it's also going to be free for the first 24 hours that it's in the store.
Huh.
So, yeah, I presume that that if anybody wants it, they can just get it in those 24 hours. And
as long as the store stays up, I mean,
yeah, they've said that
Creative Assembly attempted, I'm just reading from the article here, attempted to explain in a blog post by saying, we have no plans for future games to be Epic exclusives. This deal was made because, quote, we want to reach new audiences and have as many people as possible experience the thrill of Total War for themselves. And then Kotaku editorializes, also because Epic is probably paying them a boatload of cash to cover those downloads.
Yeah. And I mean, when they the part of I guess part of what Creative Assembly had to say was that it's like, look, okay, the money wasn't the only reason why we're doing this. It was a reason why we're doing this, but it is not, because they said they had conversations within the company, and there was like a lot of conversation. It's like,
oh, there'd have to be.
Yeah, it's like, do we actually do this? Is this actually a good look for us? Is this a thing, an important thing to do? And it's like, well, if we can grow the audience immediately, that's a hell of a thing to do, right? Like, to just be like, if we can get a whole bunch of people to pay attention to us, even just for 24 hours, and play the game at least once, maybe we'll find new people. And that's a very bold stance to take. But if you're getting paid for it, then I guess that's not so bad.
And yeah, and also they have definitely said this is a sort of spin-off series. This is not necessarily the. It's not like all Total War games are going
Yeah.
to be coming to
So-
Epic from now on or anything like that.
So in chat there, Azande makes an observation, which is you made it an exclusive because you wanted to reach the widest possible audience. Okay.
Yes.
And it's like, so yes, that's a fair read on it, obviously. But on the other hand, by making it free, so it's only exclusive to the Epic Game Store for a year. And by making it free, I assume that their thoughts here are that more people will check out the series who have never played it before because it's free than just releasing it on Steam or themselves, where anyone, if it's like everybody could buy it or only the people who have Epic can get it for free and with no loss to them because Epic is paying them for it. It's entirely possible that will get in front of more new eyeballs.
If you doubt that, when I saw the story, I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "I wonder how I make an Epic Game Store account."
Right?
Free copy of the game. I don't play games on PC ever.
Have you ever played a Total War game?
No, but briefly I was like, it's a brand new game. It's coming out. It's free for 24 hours. I could just jump in there and download it. I do that shit with GOG all the time. They're like, look, full throttle is free or whatever. I'm like, I better go get that.
I mean,
I might play it never.
Considering
But I still
considering the ridiculous amount of games Epic has been releasing right now. By the way, if you want Overcooked, it's free on Epic right now.
Oh wow.
Also, like Civ 6 was free last week.
That would have been handy.
Everybody already had it.
Yeah, I know.
Also, it is worthwhile pointing out that the Total War series apparently has been Steam exclusive. Like it hasn't been available on GOG and various things before now.
Okay.
So it's not like it's not like it was anybody can have it and now nobody can have it. Creative Assembly likes to keep pretty tight control, apparently.
All right. I guess down at the bottom, I really want to talk about this. This is Jason Schreier, who formerly of Kotaku. This is his first big article for Bloomberg, and it's kind of wild. It's one of those things. Paul and Beej and I read it, and then all independently came to the same conclusion, which is like, this is one of those things that's probably not illegal, but feels like it definitely should be.
So
Hey,
yeah,
you probably
there's
like-
some definitely tricky stuff going on here.
Yeah.
You probably like Kerbal Space Program. Well, that was made by a company called Squad, and who are actually more so like a marketing company. And so they made Kerbal Space Program. It was a huge success. They don't seem particularly interested in continuing it, so they sold the game to Take-Two Interactive. And Take-Two Interactive went, great, we're going to do that, and we're going to get we're going to get a contract with this company, Star Theory, and we're going to get them to make Kerbal Space Program 2. Star Theory used to be called Uber Entertainment, then they changed their name because of the ride-sharing company. They made Monday Night Combat and Total Annihilation, I think it was.
Yeah.
The recent Total Annihilation.
The recent Total Annihilation, yeah. And so then Take-Two was like, all right, we're going to make a contract with you to make Kerbal Space Program 2. And so that was cool. Then, and this is now getting into sort of what different
to the
this is all getting into, it's okay, getting into what different parties have alleged that Take-Two was like, actually, we want to just buy Star Theory. We want to just buy your company since you're making Kerbal Space Program for us. We want to just buy you and make you a Take-Two in-house studio. And the founders of Star Theory didn't like the terms. We don't know the details, but they didn't like, how, I think it was maybe something to do with royalty payments or something. They determined it was it would have been a bad deal for Star Theory. So then what Take-Two did is they sent out emails to all the employees of Star Theory through their LinkedIns saying in the same email, hey, you should stop working at Star Theory and come work for us at this new internal studio we've just created. Also, you're not making Kerbal Space Program 2 for us anymore.
Yeah, it's not clear which part of that was first in the letter, but it's the same one.
It was in the same thing. That was when people at Star Theory found out that Take-Two had canceled the contract to make Kerbal Space Program 2. So they were like, yeah, we've started this new internal company called Intercept. You should come work for us. They're going to be making Kerbal Space Program 2. You're not making it anymore. So you should come make it for us.
And it's
instead.
not like Star Theory has like a ton of different games that they're making at once. They're not that big a company.
They were a 30-person company. And this is all happening back in January?
Yep.
Yeah. So 3 of Star Theory's leaders left, not the founders, but 3 of like the studio chief, the creative director, and the lead producer, they left, and other people went as well. 12 out of 30. So then Star Theory was like, so it's not like this is like, oh, this thing is happening right now. No, this has already happened. Then everyone who stuck behind was like, okay, we got 2 months to save the company by brainstorming new ideas and build some prototypes. We'll go to GDC in March and we'll just start to sell the prototypes, and that's how we'll get new work.
Yeah, because the Kerbal Space Program 2 was their only contract at that time.
Yeah.
And obviously GDC didn't happen. So is Star Theory just shut down now?
They have shut down. Each worker got a month of pay and 2 months of health insurance. And
some of them have now since gone to work for Intercept as well.
And Kerbal Space Program 2 is still under development at Intercept.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those situations where it's like, yeah, this is super scummy, but the laws that would be required to make it not happen would also, like, you don't want to make a law that says that limits, who an employee can work for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's, there's been all sorts of really bad stuff about companies having basically a gentleman's agreement not to hire each other's employees, which is super wrong.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to have a law about that. So it's like, I feel like this is one of those situations where the laws that would be required to stop this from happening would have all sorts of very negative knock-on effects so it makes it very difficult to regulate.
And it's kind of when I read this originally, I was like, okay, so Star Theory makes Kerbal Space Program 2. They make Kerbal Space Program is what I thought. And then Graham was like, actually they don't. And I'm like, so then we find out, no, actually this other company made it and was acquired, or the property was acquired by Take-Two. And then that completely changed the tenor of the article to me. I'm like, oh, this isn't about a publisher saying, F it, we can't get a good enough deal out of the people we are going to publish the game for because they can't decide on royalty splits or whatever. So let's go behind their back and make a new studio and steal the game and do whatever. Because how could you do that? It's like the game belongs to Take-Two. And if they wanted to cancel their contract, I guess that's one thing. If the contract allowed them to do it, and maybe there will be a lawsuit involved in this, but you'd think by now there should have been a lawsuit involved in this if there was something in the contract that reflected, hey, you can't just come out of nowhere and cancel this while we're still trying to work on it, because we are not privy to that information. But it does make it a very different story that somebody said, we want you to make. It's kind of like the Cookie Mama story, right? Where somebody was like, hey, we'll give you guys the IP to make the Cookie Mama game. They were making the Cookie Mama game, and the people who saw it were like, this game sucks and you can't release it. And they said, yeah, well, we'll release it anyway. What are you going to do about it? Yep. And I'm like, I don't know if this is it's a similar but not the same situation, and it really feels like it feels so scummy to just be like, we're canceling your contract and you can all come work for us. And it's like, oh, that's a bad look.
I should add a small correction for something I said earlier, which was I mentioned Total Annihilation. So the game that they made was Planetary Annihilation, which is a spiritual successor to Total Annihilation, featuring a bunch of the original devs. And interestingly, 2 years ago, that team at Uber Entertainment, I think it was at the time, that team at Star Theory spun out into the game is now developed and published by Planetary Annihilation Inc., which is a different. And their latest update to the game was last week. Like they're still
Cool.
Kick it along.
Yeah, they're just doing that. So
I guess
that's
they got
cool,
out
I
while they got out while they could. It's good. I like the idea that if they go on to make other stuff, it's like Barbie horse racing developed by Planetary Annihilation.
There could have been all sorts of parts of this where it's like Star Theory is owed money for work they've already done. Who knows? Maybe Take-Two even paid that out. Who knows? But yeah, they took a really aggressive approach to continuing this, and it was just like, yuck. So yeah, that's good news.
Mm-hmm. I feel Accountment France says, I feel like the fact that we're discussing a takeover might give them a leg up. Like that demonstrates they're interested in the company's resources, not just making the game. Yeah, that's entirely possible. I mean, this is an example I know that we've talked about a lot that Kathleen reported on back when she was doing this for real and not as a joke, was Triple Town, made by Spry Fox.
Right.
That they had that meet. I don't even remember the publisher it was, but they had a meeting, and the publisher was like, "Yeah, we want to publish Triple Town," and then the publisher went, "Actually, we don't," and then they just made their own Triple Town clone, and Spry Fox was like, "Yo, what the shit?" and then successfully sued them because they were like, "You told us you wanted to make it, and then you just made it yourself. You can't do that." And in this case, the law was like, "Yeah, wait, you can't do that." Give that back.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the world. When you get into the sort of high level I guess it's sort of corporate politics of the with these big sort of companies, things can get very complicated and lawyery very quickly. And a lot of money can be spent and nothing actually happens, which is the thing from a consumer standpoint. That's the thing. There's the aspect there, the one level of like, there's all these business practices going on, some of which are scummy and nasty and stuff. But then there's the second level, which is, I want a Kerbal Space Program too. What has to happen to make that? And there's a ton of money right now, a ton of money and a ton of resources being spent on things that are not making Kerbal Space Program 2.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's always sort of, I guess, frustrating in a sense, where it's just like, again, why can't we all just get along and make cool games?
There's all sorts of things that, where I'm like, man, I really wish I could have more of that property. And yet there are all sorts of reasons why I might not ever get any more of that property. And sometimes, in the larger picture, it also makes me feel like I should be thankful for the fact that I got any of that property in the first place too. So that's nice.
Exactly. The Ars Technica has a recurring series video thing called War Stories, where it talks about video game developers, usually video game developers, talking about various things that happen in the course of development and stuff. And there's, as the name suggests, there's some pretty, especially, games that are beloved, talk about, pretty much every beloved game has that, like, it was so close to not actually happening. But, something changed, or we decided to do this way, and that made all the difference. All right, let's talk about what's coming up next, because what's coming up next is LRR MTG. James and Adam are going to be playing the magical cards,
Magic the Gathering,
presumably doing some Ikoria stuff.
Yep.
Big monsters.
Later tonight, the Vanga bus rolls on as Grim Dawn continues with Adam, Corey, and Ben.
The Vanga bus grimly rolls on.
You'll have to watch Grim Dawn,
Yeah, exactly. Catch up on the VODs if you're curious what's going on with the Vanga bus.
Just the Venga bus trudges on
Yeah.
in the grim dawn of the future. And then on Friday, it's Friday Night Paper Fight, where people are going to be doing a fancy
Now that
draft.
description says we play offline with real cards, and I think that's not correct.
Yeah, I think every part of that description is incorrect,
It was some
except for
sort
the
of
MTG
Ikoria,
part, I guess.
so sort of Ikoria Rochester
It's
draft.
it's a Singleton Rochester draft, which is
Yeah.
going to be it'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it, but I'd forgotten that that's what it was, and I was like, oh yeah, okay.
And that's going to be that will be in Arena though, eh? Not
Yes, it will be an
not
arena. Yeah.
yeah. And then on Saturday, there is Valorant one more stream on Saturday evening, and Saturday during the day. Speaking of Magic, there's a bunch of Magic stuff going on that Loading
Yes,
Ray Run
it's-
people are involved with.
CFB's Command Fest online. So check out Channel Fireball during the day. A bunch of us are playing games, playing like online games through Spell Table. I'm doing a game with it's myself and Gavin Verhey and a lucky member of the viewing public and one or two other people. We're playing Commander Plane Chase somehow.
Ooh.
And so there's that. We're gonna do. We have a panel at I think 2:15 Pacific time tomorrow. This is all over at Channel Fireball. So check that out.
I think we'll try to host it here.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, Kathleen's
Yeah.
Island Tour continues into June with all sorts of fun Animal Crossing islands. I don't know
This
who's
is
going to
such a
be
nice
her guest
stream.
this time, but
It's so nice. It's just relaxing, and it's just a bunch of people looking at different Animal Crossing islands and going, "Oh, these are great."
and maybe if you're playing Path of Exile, we can visit your murder garden.
Ah,
Sacred Grove.
what a twist!
And then Rhythm Cafe on Sunday, where Heather and Ian are going to be playing rhythm games. Or probably just a single game. I believe they're finished runner now. So I don't know what they're playing now.
I know they did Tuesday Runner 3, so.
And then Play It Forward on Monday. Tokyo Mirage Sessions continues with the scary anime. It's scary in the sense that it's anime and also very dangerous for the people involved.
Yeah, it's a mechanically very crunchy and interesting JRPG with this thick paste of anime slathered over top of it. It's I think it's great.
And then later on Monday, we go back to Over the Edge for the second episode of our Over the Edge series with Kathleen and Dale and Andy and Ian. So that should be lots of fun as well. The first episode of that is available on our YouTube channel if you haven't seen it. But
And Dale was
Check it out.
was DMing that one, and is someone different DMing this session?
I believe Kathleen is going to be DMing this session.
Thought that was correct. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, they're going to be playing same characters, or there's a single group of characters in the same setting and things, but the DM is going to be who's actually DMing is going to rotate around a little bit, so that'll be fun, and we might actually bring in some different players and things. So lots of cool stuff coming up in the next little while. LoadingRayRun.com/live is the place to go for all your Loading Ray Run schedule needs. That also has a link to the calendar and that kind of stuff. Now, let us thank all you wonderful people who subscribed during the stream, because we appreciate it so much, whether you do subscribe on Patreon or on Twitch or through the YouTube memberships. But these are people who subscribe during the stream, starting with TXC2 for 63 months. Thank you very much.
Ink Slayer for 50 months. Welcome back.
And a big welcome back to Unbound Laconicity, who's been here for 76 months. That's so many.
Wow. Wow.
Saztool for 77 months.
Professor Membrane for 53 months. Welcome back.
Nure de Gnagnol. It's learning Ready Run backwards. As a brand new subscriber.
Oh, I thought it was Gaelic.
Yeah, I did not actually catch that.
No, neither did I.
ATX Wookiee for 7 months. That is a lesser known motherboard form factor. The ATX Wookiee form factor didn't really. It wasn't really that popular. It was bad for airflow, for one thing.
Maladia for 19 months. Welcome back.
A little noisy too.
Ninjutsu Monkey's been here 51 months. Welcome back.
Mentafold for 25 months. I was like, for 25 months.
I'm going to go lie down after this.
Mentafold.
Not a real artist for 18 months. Welcome back. Rude.
3 4/5 has been here 9 months. Welcome back.
Bitter One for 38 months.
Elder Atropos for 67 months. Welcome back.
Complexed One has been here 29 months. Welcome back.
Argyle Janner for 26 months.
And the Flaming Spider-Nado for, thankfully not Flaming Clown Spider-Nado, for 24 months. Welcome back.
I feel like them not being clowns is not that encouraging at this point.
Yeah.
It's still real bad.
And
wow,
1,038 bits from Ferrobender, Coreflux, H-Bomb and Friends, Banriel, and Contingent Cat.
yay! Who says thanks, guys? Also, the crap load was very good. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy the crap load. I'm really pleased with how that turned out.
there are more coming.
There's more of them because that's something we'd actually been working on separately. I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to do like bingeable crap shot compilations that we can for people to rewatch them in like big bunches. And then so Matt has been working on editing those together, and then Heather was like, hey, we're about to run into crap shots. I have an idea.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's a great idea, Heather. And so that's where that went up. I've been amused by how many people in the comments to it are like, I thought I'd seen all the crap shots, but there's some of these I've never seen before. And so it's like, yes, good.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
There's some I have seen before that I completely forgot we made.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone like, I haven't seen this one before, and then you're in it. You're like, oh, okay.
I don't believe this one's ever existed before.
Also, as a note, the existence of the crap loads does not indicate that there will be no further crap shots in the future. Obviously, getting together to create crap shots is a little tricky at the moment, but we will endeavor to begin creating crap shots again when we can.
It is weird how when you're closed up in your house all the time and you try to do work, how productivity comes in abnormal bursts. Not to say you can't be productive, but just that I always feel like it's like, oh, I can be productive now and I can be very productive. And then all of a sudden it's like, my brain doesn't want to do any more of this. It just wants to be by itself for a bit.
If your brain wants to be by itself, just leave it alone and go watch some TV or something and let your brain figure things out.
Absolutely.
It's like a
I've
cat.
been using
You
my
know, you
brain
just,
so much dopamine recently.
sometimes the brain just needs to be alone for a bit.
Just needs to watch clips of the same scene over and over and over again to feel good about itself.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. LRMTG is in about 20 minutes. We will talk to all y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.